Welcome back to a special prelude episode of The Eternal Cycle, Season 2, Origins. We're sitting here with Illmaaya as she waits to be born. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Intro here in the black darkness of the night. As you struggled, you don't necessarily remember how you came to be, only the screaming, the kicking, and the voices before you rolled out of your egg sack and crawled away, only to be found by a vampire patrol and taken to Black Rose's castle, where you were initiated. As you walk the halls, you know what today is. Today has been on your mind for a while. It's the day you take over as Supreme for Ray. He needs to depart soon, if he hasn't already.
Oh, yes.
Which means at some point today, you must meet the king himself. Something you have been pondering quite intensely over, trying to figure out exactly what you would say to a king.
Talking with Ray is easy. He's a young man, and like most men, they're pretty easy. They're somewhat easy to manipulate. But what do I say to the king of vampires? Well, whatever. I'll figure it out. Just have to be polite, take a few bows, and say my P's and Q's.
But you get a knock at the door.
Open the door.
Yi and Yang are standing there, and you go, unfortunately you have missed him.
I see that?
No, they say that to
they
you.
Say that to me. Okay. You mean Reynold has already left?
They just went through the portal not 2 minutes ago. It's okay. We'll be your liaisons for today, as well as they turn, and you see a woman approach. My name is Nieta, and I am. I'm pretty sure you're aware of who I am.
Of course. Unlike, you are the. What was her title again?
Lady Nieta, Lady of the Night.
No, not Lady Nieta, Lady of the Night, but
She's the Supreme of all Supremes.
Okay, the Supreme of all Supremes.
Supreme of Supremes.
I'll just say Grand Supreme.
That works.
I say, well, naturally, you're Lady Nieta, Lady of the Night, Supreme of all Supremes.
I don't particularly like to boast mine, but you are catching my husband at an interesting time. Have you felt and she kind of looks at the walls to indicate how much they've changed over the past couple of months. Any differences?
Well, and this may seem weird since we literally live in a castle of black walls, but the castle has grown significantly darker. The castle's conglomeration that protects it it feels a bit more stressed out than they are usually.
Well, they're not used to containing power.
Yes.
Your lord, our lord, has been spent the last couple of months learning to perfect his power. I would like you to personally oversee and make sure he doesn't push himself.
Do you want me to oversee the king's
Training.
training?
It was supposed to go to Ray, which is why he gave him 50 years. But, as you can feel, we don't have 50 years for him to be able to control his power.
Well, I'm happy to do with my. I'm happy to do with my what our lovely, uh, what our lovely Lord Supreme cannot.
Unfortunately, it is not that I cannot. It's that I am unable.
I was referring to Ray.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Lord Superior.
Yeah.
Which for context for just the audience, that is to indicate Ray specifically being a male leader of a coven, and
Yeah.
not, which is pretty much thought to be impossible until he showed up.
Yeah. She smiles and goes, well, we will make sure that you have the correct books. You should take your audience, though.
And naturally, I do not want to keep the king waiting.
You all walk and kind of, like, bicker, not kind of dancing around all the major subjects, quick, short answers. Nieta stops in front of the big, familiar doors. She goes, now, I'm not saying watch your tone. I'm saying be honest.
Of course, I had every intention of being honest, true, and polite. Probably choose my words a bit more carefully than I do yin, yang, and Ray.
The twins kind of, because they're aware of your true nature.
Yep.
You're pretty sure Nieta is being polite about your true nature.
Yep.
But as far as anyone is concerned, no one's given you any grief about what you are.
So, at this point, I'm going to, since we should have done this a bit earlier, I'm going to describe my character a little bit.
I'll cut this and put it back in. Put it at the front.
Okay. But I'm going to describe my character, not really her plot or anything, as we have plenty of time to get into that later, but more importantly, I'm going to describe her appearance.
Yeah, because this kind of needs to be explained.
Yeah.
So before we begin the main story here, I'm going to have Skyflash explain 100% his character.
Okay. So Illmaaya, as of right now, is not, as her strange-ass name would suggest, Illmaaya is not a humanoid, is not a traditional race of any race we've seen so far, but one that has only been mentioned. Illmaaya is a primal.
Not a husk, which you guys encountered in the elf village. That was a beta husk. Very different than a primal being.
Husks, known to the primal people as the Halmignala, are also known as the Dark Eaters, but they go by their more modern name of husks. Husks are basically primals that have been corrupted by darkness and turned into near featureless beings who only care about eating, chaos, and destruction.
Or serving their alpha.
Or serving the alpha in their wills. Alpha is essentially just the highest rank at the
is the hive mind.
Yeah, is essentially the highest rank in the hive mind you can achieve.
Now, we want to emphasize that the husk hive mind, after there is a hierarchy. After a certain point, you do gain your own sentience.
Yes.
However, you cannot fight the will of an alpha if you have one.
The thing about husks is, since they're corrupted by darkness so much, they essentially have no minds of their own, and essentially have little to no sapience whatsoever. They take whatever they can get from the higher ranks in the husk hives. As the more powerful and the higher in the hive you go as a husk, the more conscious
and the more brains you consume. That is kind of a key thing.
And the more people you consume as well.
Genetics, they gain their sentience through genetic absorption, through matter absorption, through bone absorption, through they do not waste. Husks are not to be fucked with. Anyway.
They are not. They are crazy as all hell. And so we're not necessarily going to go into the whole hive hierarchy right now, but I'm just going to say the only things you should know about the hierarchy is that the most basic one is just called a husk. You have the husk that is in charge of everything, which is the alpha, essentially center of the hive mind for that specific hive. And then you have the betas, which are the right-hand men to the alphas.
Mm-hmm.
Illmaaya is what's called a husk-born primal, meaning she was a... Husks repopulate primarily through corrupting other species rather than through sexual reproduction. So Illmaaya is essentially a failed husk, which means that a husk alpha took somebody, shoved them in an egg sac, corrupted them with darkness for
a long
ass time.
Like, we're talking thousands of years.
And the special thing about Illmaaya, but the corruption took place but didn't necessarily take hold in this person's heart. And so instead of becoming a husk, they become the more purified form of a primal.
Mm-hmm.
The special thing, normally primals, their souls are extremely malleable, which allows them to change their appearance almost at will, and it gives them a plethora of other strange abilities. But their souls are also easily corruptible, meaning that if they are around too much dark magic or too much white magic, they can be corrupted by either force and essentially turn into monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Since Illmaaya is what's called a husk-born primal, she doesn't have that weakness. She cannot be corrupted into a husk or a white stalker.
Thankfully.
Yeah, white stalkers are, by the way, the light corrupted versions of husks. They are basically the same thing, but much more passive and gentle. They are also called Simvloge in the primal tongue.
Mm-hmm. Alright, anyway.
Primal is, Illmaaya is a 6'7" primal.
Mm-hmm.
Very tall, at 209 pounds, very slim, very fit. She normally has yellow eyes with black, sclera, which is the whites around her eyes. She has a dark green hair color, and she appears and acts very much as a female, but the technicality about primals is that they are hermaphrodites. They can both pitch and catch. They are neither male nor female. So Illmaaya fits the Coven's restrictions basically by a technicality. She normally wears white, lavender, and gold robes when in her coven outfit, and like most other primals, she has some small amounts of plant life and bark growing on her body, and as well as wooden horns that stick straight forward like a ram's. But Illmaaya also commonly wears a mask to hide most of these more primal-like features. So the bark and the horns and the plants are not necessarily visible when she has the mask on, because it is ruined that way.
So, now that has been explained, she's just a really tall chick.
Yeah, she's just a really tall chick with one arm.
With one arm. I totally forgot that she's one-armed.
Yeah.
But however, she compensates because, unlike most players, you can actually attack 3 times in a turn.
Yeah, I can basically do cartwheels all over their ass.
Well, yeah, it's just the way your feet has compensated for the lack of the other arm.
using my feet as hands.
Yeah.
Since I don't have my other hand.
Yes.
Or arm, for that matter.
You fucking tripod-looking motherfucker.
Anyway.
As the doors open, the stench of nothingness, which you thought you had forgotten, just floods your senses.
I never wanted to hear it and smell that again. Oh god, this is not gonna be fun. And then I walk in.
And the doors slowly... And you're surrounded in literal voidlessness before the lights on the lamps. However, last time you were here, it was the embodiment of death. Now it's the embodiment of a fucking evil lair. Beautiful marble. Returned, but it's smooth marble, not the mixed marble that gave that calm feeling. This is authoritarian style architecture. Everything's cut and clean, almost perfect to a T, almost uncomfortably perfect.
Yep.
In the middle stands a beautiful marble throne. On either side, so it stands on like this stairway up, right?
There's a stairway up to a platform.
Yeah, where the crown actually is, and behind him is that somehow, from the last time you were here, that beautiful stained glass behind has moved up, and now sits squarely engulfing. So the chair is the bottom, engulfed in the bottom half of the stained glass. The chair is on purposefully facing out the window as opposed to actually facing whoever is behind him.
Yep.
Now, this goes up 7 flights of stairs. Okay? That's 7 steps about 6 inches high apiece. So he's almost 3-4 feet off the ground as it is.
Yep.
So, like I said, before it was more modest, it was more condensed, but this is grandiose and imperialistic and tight corners, and you know who's in charge.
Oh, yeah. He definitely wants to tell everyone he's above them.
He definitely does, at least in his attitude right
Yes,
now.
at least with his attitude. So.
You definitely know for a fact that he's not on his throne, however. As you don't know where in the voidnessness that's kind of blocking out what you assume are the bookshelves you've heard about.
Yep.
I'm going to let you take over. You know he's not in the chair, but
He's not in the chair, I can feel that much, but I don't know where he is.
you absolutely have no idea where he is.
Alright, well then... I know by now, without meta knowledge, that he is typically a celestial.
He is. No, he absolutely is. You can feel the celestial power coming off of him. He is a deity.
Okay. Yep.
Your special sense, I know which one you're talking about, does alert you to the presence of deity.
Of deity magic.
Mm-hmm. Which heightens you even further.
Yeah. Primals and the deities don't mix very well.
No, they do not.
So, I will... Well, I guess I can't see very much from the view down here, so I'm going to go up there and see.
So you're going to walk?
I'm going to walk up to the throne.
As you walk, you can feel him solidify as soon as you pass the last set of columns right before the step. His arms are crossed as he's up against one of the pillars, and he goes, I love your species. So confident. This is a sinister voice. Not... The power you're reading is deity. The voice you're hearing is demonic.
You're referring to my body or my mind?
Both.
Well, then I guess there is no use wearing this, and then I'm going to drop the mask on. And basically take off the mask and let Illmaaya's true, young Clydeville, her true face, show up.
I prefer it this way. Now, I have a couple of questions. First, are you working for Indec? Just straight from... Boom! Whoa! Name dropping that motherfucker.
Name dropping, basically the closest thing Primal's got to a god right now.
Yeah, and so he's kind of like, are you working for Indec? That's a pretty straight from the hip question. Sorry.
I'm aware of the existence of the Unseen Apostles, but I'm not in their group.
Okay. If you are in contact with them, just let me know. I
Sure.
like to know when they're in my midst. I don't care about their business, as long as it does not conflict with my business.
Of course, if I ever hear anything, I'll bring it to you. Not like I hear anything about them much in the first place.
In my court, they will hear about you long before you hear about them.
Ominous.
For the audience, Skyflash is squirming so hard right now.
Because I have a hard... You know why I have a hard time fucking concentrating right now.
I know.
But, yeah, I'm legitimately going to say that. I'm going to go, that's ominous.
Unfortunately, you will find that the darkest pits of hell open up here. Willing, and he breathes in kind of a deep sigh as if like a regret or unwilling before letting out that breath.
Yeah, I get you. Well, what does a primal need to fear from a few demons?
Nothing. I have questions, not necessarily about your species, more about your day-to-day, if you'll indulge me. And then you notice to the right, another long hallway goes off, tables and books, and he goes, I need some fact-checking, if you don't mind, and we need to talk about how we're going to set this up. Plus, I want to get a read of you.
Very well, let's get to know each other then.
And that is where we will end.
Yeah.
Prelude concluded.